Anthony Davidson is preparing for his final outing as a professional driver after announcing he's calling time on his racing career. Tomorrow's Bahrain 8 hours in the World Endurance Championship will bring an end to his career that has also encompassed time in Formula One. Now driving for Jota Sport, Davidson joined me a short time ago and explained why now is the right time to go.
Yeah, you're not the first one that's asked this question, really. Look, I wanted to walk away while I was still competitive, really. That's the truthful answer. Other factors come into play as well. I think, like most people, they can appreciate and empathise with having gone through or going through this pandemic. Unfortunately, with lockdown, a long lockdown like we suffered in the UK. It made me reassess things, work-life balance, and I genuinely want to be around my family more and feel like I owe that to them now this late on in my career at the age of 42. I have young kids, 10 and 8 years old, and it's quite a pivotal time in their lives, and I want to be around more to be there for them and to live through their experiences rather than just hearing about it down the end of the telephone.
That's completely understandable. Let's talk a little bit about that career, of course, that you mentioned, getting all the way to the top of motorsport in Formula One. I know getting up there was something you had to fight very hard for, but you had a very successful feeder series career, European F3 champion. How did it feel to fight your way through that feeder series and then get all the way up to Formula One? I mean, that's probably what you set out to do when you were in karting. So how did it feel to make it all the way to the top?
It feels great, and honestly, while you're going through it, you don't really focus on all of the positives. Well, I certainly didn't. You're always wanting more and more. So to get through to the height of the sport in Formula One was a big achievement and something I can look back now with immense pride. Not many drivers get that opportunity to drive in Formula One, and let alone compete in the races. I spent a long time as a test driver, but to get that chance with Super Guri to do a full season like I did, full season and a bit. They're great memories, and I'm proud of having had that opportunity and proud that I managed to get there without any funding. It was done through talent alone, but at the time I didn't really appreciate it as much. I just wanted more and more. I think that's quite natural when you're that age and blinkered on your mission to get through into Formula One from go-karts all the way up. And it's only now that I can look back and appreciate what I've achieved in my career and look more towards the positives that came along rather than, always wanting more and the negatives that are so easy to do when you're in the midst of competition.
I think it always takes something like this, doesn't it, to really look back and realise. Of course, your involvement with F1 didn't stop when you stopped racing. You've stayed with Mercedes as a test driver and as a simulator driver as well. How does it feel to be part of the complete dominance they've had over the sport in the past few years?
Well, I don't put it down to me, that's for sure. It's I play a very small part in the proceedings at Mercedes, but it is fantastic too. The funny thing is for me is that we see it as Mercedes from the outside, but I see it as the team in Brackley, and I've been involved with that team since 2002. So I've seen the team change names and evolve. Many of the people that work there are still the same as when I first joined them. To be involved with Mercedes and watch how that team's grown and shaped through the years has been a brilliant journey, and I'm really honoured to not only still be driving for them in the simulator role today, but to work with such great people for such a long time and learned so much. It's really put me in good stead for being able to talk about the sport and knowledge of being in Formula One for Sky TV, but also I took a lot of that knowledge and could apply it to my own racing as well.
And of course, from there, going into endurance racing, you've taken multiple podiums at the 24-hour Le Mans included and taken the championship win back in 2014 as well. How did it feel to wrap up the World Endurance Championship? Because it's such a hard title to win.
Yeah, well, after Formula One, I felt a bit lost. I didn't really know what to do with my career. And, to be in your mid-20s and to be faced with that kind of reality that you might not have a job anymore. you might not be able to drive a racing car anymore. The phone goes silent, and it's worrying times. You just wonder how you're going to survive. And these are the stories that, say, the media never really quite appreciate, that mental roller coaster that drivers go through. Any sports person, that what they go through, a lot of it's out of your control. And I was in a pretty bad place at the end of Formula One, not knowing what to do. And when LMP1 came along, it just opened up this new avenue for me, and I fell in love with it. I loved the way the cars felt. I loved the camaraderie between the teammates. It just felt like that's what I was made to do. Formula One's quite a selfish sport in many aspects. You have to be quite blinkered, quite focused solely on your own side of the garage, and you see your teammate as the enemy in many ways. But in sports cars, it's the complete opposite. You work with your teammates, and I've always been a team player. That's why I think I fitted the testing role so well. And I just shifted that. I adapted what I did in testing in Formula One and moved into LMP1, and saw me win a world championship. In many ways, you look back and think, it wasn't the championship I wanted. I wanted Formula One at the time, but I just look back now at what I achieved in sports cars, and I'm more than happy that I won a world championship in LMP1. It's a great category, and like I say, it's been a way of life for me now for many years, and arguably feels like a bigger portion of my career than anything else.
And what happens now next for you? Obviously, you've had a broadcasting career ever since 2009, working with Sky Sports F1, which we all know you for in recent times. What happens next now? Are you going to continue that, look to further input into that, or is it going to be just step away completely?
Oh, no, it's not the last you'll see of me, that's for sure. No, so the simulator work with Mercedes will carry on. Just signed a longer term deal with them, so it's great. I love that role. I love the job, and I feel like I'm at the right age to be doing to have a job like that. Many of the younger drivers see it as a bit of a pain to drive a simulator. They prefer to be in the real car, whereas for me, it is the opposite. I actually, in a bizarre way, prefer being in the sim, and without that tense competition that has been with me for 34 years now, having started karting at the age of 8. So that takes its toll, and the sim job is one that I can enjoy. I feel like it's constructive work, and like I mentioned before, can pull on my experiences as a test driver when we were out there doing it for real back in the Formula One days. But no, definitely not the last you'll see of me. I'll still be hopefully working with the F1 program at Sky in the coming years, and for a long time into the future. I feel like I have a lot to offer in terms of the experience I have to bring that to the fans and to talk about knowledgeably the sport that I absolutely love, and has been a way of life since I was an 8-year-old kid.
Well, your input at Sky is something we all love, so we look forward to seeing more of that to come in the next few years. And Anthony, thank you very much for joining us. Best of luck this weekend. We certainly hope you can all end on the top step of the podium. But thank you for joining us here at Motorsport TV Live.